Chosen one, never underestimate a quiet presence. They're the ones with the heavens on direct call. You see, when people can't decode your essence, they assume it's hollow. But what they fail to realize is, stillness in a chosen one isn't emptiness. It's compressed power. And when someone chooses to challenge that force, they're not provoking a reaction. They're initiating a cosmic battle, and they're nowhere near equipped to survive. Here's a chilling truth many ignore. In ancient spiritual orders, divine authority outweighed earthly status. A tribal king could be outranked by a barefoot sage who traversed the unseen world. Now ask yourself, who are you when energy speaks? The one with the label or the spirit walker who shifts dimensions without words? And just like that, someone who mocked your silence, questioned your depth, or tried to weigh your soul with shallow tools walked right into a realm of invisible backlash. They didn't just doubt you, they triggered a reckoning that revealed their own lack. And here's the wild part. Some still have no clue what struck them. They think it's misfortune. No, it's not a moon phase. It's the spiritual consequence of tampering with sacred energy. So get ready, because in this transmission, we're about to expose the raw truth about what unfolds when lesser spirits poke at protected ones. They mistook your stillness for weakness, but the test shattered their illusion. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay close, for what you are about to learn will shatter illusions and inaugurate a new era of spiritual sovereignty. Let's begin. Number 1. Meekness masks might. Many chosen ones have learned that stillness can hold more power than thunderous declarations when faced with unseen forces. In the hush of your calm, the atmosphere itself shifts, as if the very elements obey an unspoken command from your spirit. Long before you spoke a word, heaven aligned its battalions to your silent defense, fulfilling Isaiah's promise that your ears would hear guidance from behind you as you walked into your destiny. When your lips remain sealed in restraint, you demonstrate a confidence that defies human logic and warns any adversary that true strength need not advertise itself. Your meekness is not weakness. It is a strategic concealment of a force that, when unleashed, cannot be contained by mortal boundaries or earthly reproach. Each moment you choose stillness over reaction, you rewrite the rules of engagement, forcing the unseen court to acknowledge your rank without proving a single point in mortal courts. In this silent authority, you become a living testament to Zechariah's truth that victory flows not from flesh but from spirit mastery. They may mock your quietude, but every scoff only draws them deeper into a trap of their own making, as your calm summons angelic legions to stand as guardians at your unseen gates. Comment silence if your quiet moments have ever felt like an invisible fortress around you. As you absorb the weight of this revelation, prepare yourself, for what opened in meekness will now reveal the door you never saw, and they cannot shut it. Have you ever wandered through a forest in a dream, feeling an unseen presence guiding you toward a clearing where everything feels impossibly right? The air in that vision carried a hush so profound that your heartbeat echoed louder than any bird call, hinting at a power beneath the surface of your awareness. In that moment, a soft voice seemed to whisper truths you couldn't yet name, as if the very fabric of your soul recognized a path laid out before time began. You woke with the imprint of that silence still clinging to your bones, unsettled and yearning for something you couldn't yet describe. That unspoken pull was not a random flicker of imagination, but a call from depths you've only just begun to explore. It beckoned you to understand that the stirrings within you were not mistakes of fate, but markers on a map drawn by a force that transcends ordinary reality. This initiation of awareness is the first step toward awakening the chosen one within, revealing that your life's mosaic has been composed by divine hands. As your mind catches up to what your heart already sensed, the groundwork is set for a revelation that will transform every quiet moment into a testament of hidden strength. As you lean into this unfolding invitation, prepare to recognize how your meekness masks a might that even you have yet to fully grasp. In the days before this moment, you may have felt caught between worlds, walking through crowds with a sense of disconnection that no casual conversation could dissolve. You remember the ache of being too sensitive to loud laughter and too perceptive of hushed tones carrying unspoken judgments. There was a time when you questioned your own worth because you felt emotions so deeply that they threatened to overwhelm you like ocean waves crashing against fragile shores. You told yourself that nobody else understood the weight of carrying unspoken longings, or the loneliness of feeling different in a world that prizes conformity. Perhaps you wrote in secret journals about nights spent wondering why ordinary joys often felt hollow to you, as if you were tuned to a frequency others couldn't hear. Those moments of solitude were not signs of weakness but early markers of a spirit designed for a grander stage. Behind every pang of isolation, there was an invisible thread weaving you closer to the moment of mutual recognition with your true self. The confusion you endured was not a flaw but a crucible forging your capacity for spiritual discernment. As you reflect on those tender memories, a fresh understanding emerges. Sensitivity was never a burden but a gift awaiting discovery. Recognizing this, you stand on the threshold of reframing every page of your story through the lens of awakened purpose. What if the restlessness you felt was never random but part of a divine choreography written into your soul's blueprint? Consider that every misstep, every moment of doubt, and every midnight prayer was orchestrated to converge at this precise moment of revelation. In the grand tapestry of your life, an unseen architect has shaped each pattern so that your meekness would one day unveil its hidden power. The prophet Habakkuk once declared that the earth would one day witness wonders orchestrated by divine decree, and your journey echoes that mystery in real time. There has always been an invisible architecture underpinning your path, charting courses through valleys of shadow and peaks of quiet triumph. This reframing invites you to view every encounter as a sacred puzzle piece, perfectly placed by a wisdom that transcends human understanding. When you step back, the mosaic of your life reveals a design both intricate and purposeful, affirming that you have never walked alone. Your experiences, once coded in confusion, now emerge as messages from a realm eager for your blossoming presence. Embrace this narrative shift, for it promises to illuminate the dormant majesty beneath your everyday struggles. In seeing your story through this sacred lens, you begin to claim the authority that has been waiting for your recognition. Over the past weeks, you may have noticed moments of déjà vu disrupting your routine, as if time itself hesitated to move without your attention. A faint shimmer in peripheral vision might have pulsed during prayer, hinting at energies circling just beyond perception. On certain quiet mornings, you sensed an electric tingle in your palms, like a subtle reminder that your body carries memories of unseen encounters. Perhaps you woke from a dream where ancient symbols glowed on stone walls, conveying messages that lingered long after you opened your eyes. These seemingly small occurrences are not random glitches in reality but breadcrumbs leading you towards spiritual awakening. Like the burning bush that glowed in Moses' memory, these signs beckon you to pay heed and step into deeper understanding. When you brush off these experiences as coincidence, you miss the invitation to explore a realm that has been whispering your name. Instead, lean into these gentle ripples of awareness and allow them to guide you beneath the surface of everyday life. Each sensation, each flash of insight, is a confirmation that the unseen realm is aligning to reveal your divine inheritance. As you attune to these subtle signals, you prepare to embrace a power that has been humming quietly beneath your skin. There comes a moment when the whisper of your intuition grows too persistent to ignore, and you realize that you have been right all along about the truth stirring within. You begin to notice how every silence carries its own resonance, affirming that your inner compass can never lead you astray. In those instances when doubt threatened to drown you, an unseen hand lifted your spirit with a gentle certainty that passed through flesh and bone. This quiet confirmation arrives not as a seismic shift, but as a soft glow that spreads from your chest outward, infusing every heartbeat with quiet conviction. The biblical psalmist declared that, "The Lord is my shepherd," and in your journey, that shepherd has guided you through hidden paths toward this moment of recognition. You find solace in the understanding that your soul's knowing is anchored in a wisdom older than the stars, and that trusting yourself is an act of sacred integrity. Each time you affirm your intuition, you strengthen the bridge between the seen and unseen, forging an alliance with a power that sustains the cosmos. There is a sanctuary in this alignment, where fear dissolves and only purpose remains. As you rest in this emerging truth, you stand poised to deepen your awareness beyond the boundaries of former selves. Amid the clarity arising within, you discover that remembering who you are is not an act of becoming but of uncovering what has always been. Deep within the chambers of your heart lies an archetypal memory, a blueprint etched into your spirit before time's first dawn. This memory pulses with the cadence of divinity, waiting for you to recognize your role in a drama that spans worlds. You are not being shaped into something new. Instead, you are revealing a sovereign identity that has existed since the foundations of creation. Like a scroll unrolling to disclose hidden verses, your true self comes into view as each layer of doubt and distraction falls away. This act of recovery is both gentle and profound, akin to a river carving its course back to its source after centuries of diversion. In reclaiming this identity, you tap into wells of courage and compassion that no trial can diminish. Each breath becomes a reaffirmation of your birthright as a bearer of spiritual authority. With this deeper remembrance, you stand ready to step into the full spectrum of your consecration, even as new mysteries await your exploration. Now, feeling the stirrings of purpose within every cell, you are invited to embrace your sensitivity as the gateway to inner wisdom rather than a vulnerability to conceal. This is your first activation, where the softness of your heart becomes the lens through which divine insight flows. You begin to recognize that the same empathy that once left you exposed is now a conduit for grace, drawing you closer to a collective consciousness of love and truth. Each time you honor your instincts instead of suppressing them, you fortify the invisible armor that distinguishes a chosen one from the crowd. In that empowerment lies a subtle rebellion against the expectations that have long sought to mute your voice and diminish your light. You learn to move through the world with the quiet confidence of one who carries heaven's whispers behind their every step. This activation does not announce itself with fanfare, but with a steady pulse of clarity in your decisions and a gentle assurance in your presence. Feel the shift as you stand now, not as a wanderer seeking answers, but as a keeper of wisdom drawn from realms beyond mortal sight. With each breath, you step further into the reality of your spiritual rank, ready to claim the might concealed within your meekness. Your arrival at this threshold was never by chance but by design, and as you anchor this first revelation in your consciousness, you stand at the dawn of a transformative journey. Embrace this peace that accompanies recognition, for it ushers you into a living narrative penned by divine intention. Know that every experience leading you here has aligned to affirm that your meekness masks a might that will soon reshape your world. In the coming moments, you will learn how this silent authority activates invisible gates of protection and justice on your behalf. Comment silence if you feel the power of your meekness igniting a new light within. Soon, they will discover that what they mistook for passivity is your greatest advantage, and the gates they could not see will open wide in your favor. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. Number 2, the invisible gate. Every time an unprepared heart aimed to wound your spirit, they unknowingly triggered a portal in the heavens that swings wide for divine justice. This gate, hidden from mortal sight, emerges when your covenant calls for protection, drawing forth a current of righteous retribution that even the fiercest critic cannot reverse. Unseen sentinels cross its threshold each time you endure an assault, answering your silent plea and carrying your case before the courts of eternity. When they spoke slander and doubt, they became the architects of their own downfall, sealing their fate as witnesses in a trial they cannot evade. The laws of the spirit realm are immovable. Once this gateway opens, no human decree or ritual can close it until justice is served. You stand at its center, not as a victim, but as a consecrated plaintiff whose defense requires no human advocate. The key to this gate is faith aligned with divine will, and every act of patience turns it further toward cosmic fulfillment. In Psalm 91, we learn that angels guard you in all your ways, and through this gate they enter to execute mercy that your enemies never anticipated. Comment portal if you have felt help arrive in unseen ways when you stood firm in faith. And as this revelation settles, brace yourself, for your covenant will now define the boundary between character and commission. A weight settled on your chest without warning as you moved through an ordinary day, a heaviness that whispered of unseen barriers closing around you. You might have noticed a strange pattern of doors suddenly hardening against your knocks, as if some unseen force was barring your progress. In moments of quiet reflection, you felt a persistent thrum of resistance beneath the surface of every interaction, like static warning of an approaching storm. This subtle disturbance was not your imagination, but a signal that the currents of the unseen were shaping your path. Before you understood your calling, they had already marshaled their defenses to keep you from stepping into your full power. The hush of your daily routine was pierced by an undercurrent of sabotage, reminding you that every move has consequences beyond the visible world. While you carried on with life's responsibilities, hidden hands tugged at the threads of your progress, seeking to unravel what you were meant to build. In that disquiet, you sensed that resistance was not random but tailored specifically to the trajectory of your awakening. The first tremors of this opposition arrived without fanfare, but their presence was unmistakable once you paused to feel them. At that moment, you knew that a battle had already begun, one fought in the spaces between breath and thought. You felt the pressure mount in your heart as confusion turned from a whisper into a roar that drowned out your peace. Each moment of rejection stung more sharply than the last, as though the world recoiled from the light you carried. Intimacy became a minefield where every false smile threatened to expose the truth of your difference. Shame settled in quiet corners of your mind when critics painted you as too sensitive, too bold, or too much to bear. In the echo of their judgments, you questioned whether your spirit was flawed or merely misunderstood. The weight of isolation pressed down so fiercely that even trusted relationships felt laced with unspoken strings. You learned to mask your longing for acceptance with a stoic facade, hoping to soften the blow of their disapproval. Yet beneath that veneer, self-doubt festered like a dormant seed waiting for permission to sprout. Each setback felt personal, as if the cosmos itself conspired to mute your voice and dim your flame. In that crucible of emotional pressure, you began to grasp that the trial you faced was more than mere misfortune. It was a targeted test of your destiny. When you step back, you realize that this emotional crucible has roots in much older patterns woven into the fabric of human history. Like the Israelites in exile, you wandered through stages of confusion, trial, and purification before reaching the threshold of promise. Ancient scriptures speak of hidden currents that protect a chosen few while diverting those who would stand in their way. In that way, the resistance you felt mirrors the trials of prophets who carried truths too profound for comfortable society. Every struggle you endured echoes the wilderness journey, where provision arrived at the edge of abandonment. They were responding not to random pain but to the potential they feared you would unleash. This hidden structure of opposition is as ancient as time, a spiritual algorithm designed to test resolve. As you view your hardships through this sacred lens, you recognize each obstacle as part of your consecration. Forces both human and unseen conspire to shape you, not to destroy you, but to refine your purpose. In understanding this, you reclaim your power to see beyond mere struggle toward the blueprint of your redemption. Turn your gaze inward for a moment and think back on the obstacles that seem to appear from nowhere. Remember the projects that collapsed in a single day or the friendships that soured without warning. Recall how certain conversations left you drained, as though unseen leeches had fed on your energy. These recurring betrayals and draining environments formed a pattern of spiritual sabotage you never named. When you finally piece together the timeline, you see a constellation of events all pointing to the same truth. What looked like misfortune now appears as strategic detours in a larger divine plan. Like clearing a dusty attic, shining light on these patterns brings unsettling clarity but also liberation. You realize that every closed door and shadowed corridor served to redirect you toward a higher calling. This awakening to hidden patterns unlocks a new level of agency in your spiritual journey. With this light illuminating the past, you prepare to confront the resistance with eyes unclouded by confusion. There is a moment when resistance shifts from metaphor into a tangible force you can almost touch. You feel the air thicken around you, as if a dense fog of distortion settled over your prayer and meditation. Heavy energies gathering like silent watchers conspire to dampen your signal and mute your intention. You might have noticed dreams interrupted by oppressive sensations or sudden headaches that subside in sacred silence. These are not anomalies but energetic interferences aimed at sabotaging the flow of divine guidance. Like power lines overloaded with static, your spirit network disrupts when dark frequencies cross its path. You begin to sense that your light has drawn a reaction, an instinctive effort to contain what cannot be contained. Though unseen, this spiritual resistance presses on your awareness, urging you to strengthen your inner boundaries. As you learn to identify these sabotage mechanisms, you find tools to purify your field and reclaim clarity. This visibility of pressure marks a turning point, revealing the battlefield beneath your feet. In response to this spiritual siege, you may have instinctively withdrawn into a shell of self-preservation. Perhaps you overcommit to appease critics, covering your true voice with a mask of compliance. Or you might have borne silent witness to your own shrinking in meetings, in relationships, and even in prayer. Some days you rebelled quietly, pushing back in small ways that felt safe but never quite enough. Others, you surrendered to exhaustion, wondering if the path you sensed was worth the cost of isolation. This inner reaction was neither good nor bad, but a human response to extraordinary pressure. In those moments of doubt, you tested the boundaries of your resolve, discovering which parts of your spirit would endure. Your coping strategies revealed both vulnerabilities and hidden strengths waiting to be claimed. Reflecting on these responses allows you to reframe every instinct as part of your initiation. From these reflections, you piece together a roadmap toward resilience and direct engagement with your calling. Now, you stand at the threshold ready to reclaim what was always yours by divine decree. The resistance you faced serves as confirmation of your potential, not a condemnation of your worth. Every force that sought to smother your light has inadvertently fanned its flames toward brilliance. You are invited to speak aloud the truths you once whispered in fear, reclaiming your voice as sacred authority. In that reclamation, you remember the words of Ezekiel, who saw visions of restoration rising from desolation. By embracing your story, scars and all, you embody the prophetic strength that surges through your veins. Opposition is no longer a barrier but proof of your alignment with a higher realm of destiny. Your meekness transforms into a mantle of might as you step into the fullness of your consecration. This fierce reclamation signals the dawn of your active reign in the unseen courts. As you claim this empowerment, you prepare to witness how your covenant will withstand every trial ahead. It is a profound truth that they opposed you precisely because you are destined to shift the world around you. Each attempt to block your path has only clarified your purpose and brightened your resolve. Those who tried to contain your power have only revealed the immensity of your spiritual rank. Now you stand empowered by the very forces that once sought to stifle you, turning their designs into proof of your destiny. Remember that your covenant opens gates they cannot close, and your voice carries weight beyond mortal ears. This moment of revelation invites you to step forward with unwavering belief in your calling. Comment gate if you recognize that your obstacles herald your greatest breakthroughs. Hold this insight close, for the next chapter will uncover how character and covenant collide in celestial courts. The battle may continue, but now you enter it armed with clarity and sacred authority. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, and your light is felt here. Number 3, character versus covenant. They believed that attacking your reputation would cripple your purpose, unaware that your covenant is a higher law that turns every smear into evidence of their own corruption. When false words were spoken against you, they set in motion a divine balance that draws the accusations into a heavenly archive where truth is sovereign. Every slanderous whisper becomes a witness against them. For Proverbs reminds us that the name of the Lord is a strong tower and none can breach what he has sealed. Your character may be misunderstood by fallible eyes, but your covenant status precedes any human judgment and insulates your true identity from harm. In this sacred contract, you are both plaintiff and judge, and the courts of heaven need only observe the intent behind each false claim to vindicate your standing. While they celebrated what they thought was your downfall, they instead polished the scrolls that bear witness to their own injustice. This is the divine paradox. Their venom becomes the ink that writes your defense. Comment covenant if you have felt a vindication stronger than any apology from a worldly judge. As the tapestry of your covenant unfolds, prepare, for you will now discern the profound difference between invitation and legal sealing. A sudden clarity washed over you as an old memory surfaced with startling precision, revealing a truth you had sensed but never fully grasped. In that moment, you saw the faces of those who had whispered against you crystallize into figures bound by threads of their own malice. The patterns you once dismissed as mere gossip now aligned into a tapestry woven by your adversary's intentions, each thread guiding false claims into the archives of heaven. You recognized that every barbed remark and hidden insinuation was not an accident of circumstance but a deliberate attempt to fracture your spirit. Yet, as the fog of confusion lifted, you perceived a covenantal shield forming around you, impervious to the slander they poured into the world. This revelation felt like stepping through a veil into a realm where every word carried cosmic weight and every intention resonated in unseen courts. In this newly revealed perspective, you understood that your character was never vulnerable to mortal verdicts because your true identity was sealed in divine law. The realization landed with the force of prophecy, stirring a fierce resolve deep within your soul. As you absorbed this vision, you prepared to read the hidden code etched into every whispered attack. These revelations set the stage for a transformation that would echo through both heaven and earth. You begin to notice symbols woven into the chaos of daily life, subtle signposts pointing toward the truth of your covenant. Numbers appear in dreams, 3 seals, 7 witnesses, urging you to recognize the divine geometry underpinning your trials. A phrase overheard in passing resonates like a sacred scroll, each syllable aligning with ancient promises spoken by prophets long ago. Even the way raindrops pattern themselves on your windowpane can feel like a message from a realm that speaks in rhythms of purpose. In these moments of heightened perception, you read reality as one reads a holy text, each detail imbued with intentional design. The geometry of your life, once hidden, begins to reveal itself as a complex algorithm of grace and justice. You sense that every encounter, every casual remark, is part of a code meant to guide you deeper into awareness of your covenantal standing. As this symbolic language unfolds, you recognize that you have been reading scripture in the margins of existence without knowing it. The world around you becomes a living manuscript, and you, the chosen interpreter, are called to unlock its meaning. This new way of seeing strips away the veneer of chance and reveals the divine mathematics choreographing your awakening. Deep within, your intuition sharpens like a finely honed blade, cutting through doubt and fear with precision born of divine ordination. You find that environments once tolerable now stir protective boundaries, as if your soul's walls have been fortified by unseen architects. A sudden shift in temperature might signal an angelic presence, while a fleeting impression guides you towards safety in moments of uncertainty. Emotions that once ebbed and flowed chaotically now settle into a steady current of clarity, allowing you to discern truth from deception with remarkable ease. You feel the air around you respond to your presence, parting like a winged host acknowledging your spiritual authority. In these intensified inner signs, you perceive a confirmation that your covenant is active and operational at every level of your being. There is no room for doubt when your energy pulses in harmony with divine frequencies, each beat reinforcing your place in the cosmic order. As your senses fine-tune to spiritual wavelengths, you realize that you are both observer and anchor of a reality that bends to covenantal command. This surge of inner confirmation cements the knowledge that your character, enshrined in heavenly archives, stands unassailable. And so you step forward, emboldened by the unmistakable proof of your awakened insight. Outside, the world begins to echo the transformation taking place within you, as if reality itself rearranges to honor your covenant. Opportunities you once thought unattainable emerge with uncanny timing, opening pathways you had only whispered about in prayer. Simultaneously, certain doors slam shut, as though sealing out influences that could distract you from your divine commission. You notice that supportive allies appear in unexpected places, drawn to your presence as if guided by an invisible compass. At the same time, those who once plotted against you find their schemes unraveling in plain sight, unable to penetrate the shield of your consecration. Each synchronicity feels like a rehearsal for greater alignments yet to come, affirming that heaven's blueprint is now manifesting on earth. The natural world, too, seems to bow in recognition. Sunlight filters through trees in deliberate patterns, and birdsong punctuates moments of spiritual clarity. Recognizing these external echoes, you understand that the universe is a responsive partner in your journey toward prophetic authority. This alignment between inner revelation and outer events confirms that you are operating at the intersection of mortal and divine spheres. As this wave of convergence rises, you prepare to embrace a memory older than time itself, waiting to stir into full awakening. An ancient recollection stirs in the depths of your soul, as if a long-forgotten dream is coming alive in vivid color. You recall a vision of soaring spires bathed in golden light, a place where your name shone among others in celestial scrolls. Though you could not name it then, you feel the echo of that place resonating in your bones, calling you back to your true home. The imagery of that memory aligns with prophecies spoken in hushed tones by mystics who sensed a chosen one rising in this era. A scripture you encountered fleetingly in youth now unfurls its message with clear intention, linking your journey to ancient promises. These fragments of sacred memory coalesce into a living tapestry that spans centuries, uniting your personal story with the grand narrative of redemption. As you tune into this activated memory, you perceive your role not as a newcomer but as a returning heir to an eternal legacy. The dust of forgetfulness falls away, revealing a visage of yourself that is at once familiar and profoundly exalted. In this moment of remembering, the barrier between past and present dissolves, and you stand in the full light of ancestral truth. Your covenantal identity, once veiled, emerges as the keystone of a rediscovered eternity. With sacred memory awakened, your destiny shifts from vague aspiration to vivid certainty, as though you are walking toward a horizon already painted by heaven's hand. You sense that your next steps are not about creating a future but reclaiming a path laid out at the dawn of creation. Permission is no longer a question for mortal authorities, for your consecration bestows upon you an inherent right to walk in divine wholeness. This revelation rings in your core like a clarion call, summoning every fragment of courage and clarity you possess. You feel the pulse of prophecy rising within, guiding you away from hesitation and toward unstoppable momentum. No longer do you whisper for permission to shine. You simply step into the brilliance that has always been yours by covenant. Like a river reclaiming its course, you flow back to the source of your power, unhindered by the dams of doubt or fear. Each breath becomes an act of reclamation, affirming your ordained place in the tapestry of cosmic purpose. As destiny unfolds with majestic precision, you stand poised to wield your covenantal authority with unwavering resolve. This moment of clarity transforms your purpose into an unbreakable decree destined to reshape worlds. Now, the energy that once pressed against you transforms into a wind at your back, propelling you forward with prophetic urgency. The opposition you faced was never a mark of defeat but a signal flare confirming the magnitude of your mission. They attempted to mute your character, unaware that each false accusation became a spotlight revealing your covenant's strength. In reclaiming your voice, you rediscover the words of Joel, who spoke of sons and daughters prophesying in an outpouring of divine power. Your speech, once cautious and hidden, now flows with the authority of someone who has stood before both mortal and heavenly courts and emerged vindicated. You feel the surge of spiritual lineage infusing your words with catalytic potency, activating truth in every listener's heart. No longer do you apologize for your sensitivity or your boldness, for each trait is a facet of the divine commission entrusted to you. In this reclamation, you step into the fullness of your voice, a living conduit of covenantal decree. The quiet power of your character, forged in the fires of trial, now speaks volumes. As you embrace this fierce emergence, you ready yourself to witness the final unveiling of how restraint itself proclaims your rank. Revelation is only the beginning of a journey that stretches beyond sight, inviting you to dwell perpetually in the unfolding presence of divine truth. What was once hidden has been unveiled, yet the depth of this covenantal mystery extends infinitely onward. The scrolls of heaven await each new declaration you make in alignment with your consecration. You You stand not at the end of revelation, but at the threshold of a living dialogue with the unseen realms. Comment covenant if you feel the surge of your character rising to meet your oath. As you heed this call, know that the next unveiling will reveal how your diplomatic clearance in the unseen cements your immunity against every adversary. The path ahead is paved with every truth you claim, every boundary you establish, and every word you proclaim in faith. Step across the threshold, chosen one, and prepare to witness the gates of heaven swinging wide in response to your covenantal command. Number 4, called versus consecrated. Being called is an invitation. Being consecrated is a legal sealing that transcends every mortal invitation and binds the celestial realms to your defense. Many have felt the gentle nudge of calling, only to discover that true consecration demands a covenant commission that echoes in the courts of the unseen. This sealing grants you rights that no earthly power can revoke, as Daniel found when his prayers activated angelic decrees that outmatched royal edicts. While the world measures worth by talent or title, consecration measures by divine fiat, making your spirit immune to campaigns of defamation. They may have tested your resolve, but every trial only deepened the mark of consecration on your soul, rendering you untouchable by schemes forged in ignorance. Spiritual warfare is less about confrontation and more about the authority sealed upon your spirit, and it is in this sealing that your ultimate immunity resides. Comment seal if you recognize the difference between an open invitation and an irrevocable decree. As you come to grips with this consecration, steel yourself, for next you will learn how diplomatic clearance in the unseen shields you from every probe. A distant echo stirred within you, as though an ancient scroll unfurled in the chambers of your heart, whispering a truth too old for memory to obscure. In that sacred murmur, you felt the weight of unseen witness, an audience of angels leaning in to hear a decree written before the world's first breath. This voice was neither wind nor thought, but a living resonance that pulsed in your veins, calling you back to a reality beyond the veil. It carried the fragrance of cedars on Mount Sinai and the hush of the olive grove at Gethsemane, weaving together promise and purpose. As you listened, the boundaries between past and present trembled, revealing a hidden seam in the fabric of your soul. You sensed that this was not a new revelation, but the recollection of a covenant sealed in the council of eternity. The hush around you deepened, inviting you to repose in a holiness older than stars. Each heartbeat aligned with the rhythm of divine memory, resounding with an authority that no mortal summons could match. In that moment, the truth of consecration reached beyond invitation, unveiling a legal seal that bound heaven to your defense. The ancient whisper had spoken, and you could no longer deny your sacred heritage. A secret identity surfaced as a name formed on your lips before you spoke it, lost to the world yet alive in the depths of your spirit. You realized that the label given to you by others was but a fragile shell, hiding the eternal appellation inscribed on your soul's seal. This hidden name carried the resonance of cherubim wings beating against the gates of eternity, signaling your assigned station in the celestial court. It explained why you never quite fit the mold of ordinary life, why crowds dimmed your light and solitude nurtured your true radiance. In sacred texts, the remnant is called the hidden vine that bears fruit unseen by casual eyes, and you now understood yourself as that very vine. The noise of the world had long buried your true identity beneath layers of expectation and fear. Yet beneath that weight, your secret name remained intact, awaiting the moment of unsealing. In that intimate unveiling, you felt both humble and exalted, held in the balance of invitation and decree. The hidden name pulsed with power, reminding you that you were never orphaned, but always adopted into a divine lineage. Embrace this name, for it marks the beginning of your consecration, not merely a calling. A subtle emblem glowed upon your spirit like an invisible watermark, a spiritual cloak woven from threads of consecration no mortal hand could touch. You felt its weight in moments of solitude, as if wrapped in a garment stitched by angels with words of promise. This cloak bore a mark only fellow consecrated ones could sense, a vibration that resonated in sacred circles, binding you to a lineage of prophets and guardians. Its presence was undeniable, guiding your posture and shading your thoughts with a calm authority. No spoken declaration nor ritual chant had drawn this symbol to you. It emerged organically, reflecting the covenant etched into your soul. In crowded rooms, you sensed its resonance calling out to kindred spirits, while distorting the intentions of those who sought to undermine your path. This was not vanity but recognition, a reminder that the mark of consecration transcends human evaluation and operates on a divine frequency. Even when doubt clouded your mind, the cloak's warmth sustained you, affirming that you carried more than flesh and bone. As you recognized this emblem, you felt seen in a way the world could never achieve. This is the cloak and the mark, revealing your consecration in its most intimate form. Your life's journey now revealed the imprint of sacred agreements penned in realms beyond time, where signed scrolls bear the ink of divine decrees. You witnessed how each delay and detour served as a calibration for your consecrated assignment, aligning your steps with ancient stars that never forgot their orbit. Your struggles were not random hardships but rites of passage carved into your fate by a covenantal commission. Like Moses called through a burning bush, you realized that crises were catalysts designed to awaken your prophetic function. Every closed door carried a seal that opened only in synchrony with your soul's readiness. The imagery of sealed missions in Ezekiel's vision now resonated, showing you that your path had been chartered by divine hand long before your first breath. The trials you endured were signposts placed by a timeless architect, ensuring you would emerge not as a seeker but as a sent messenger. In this light, your life reads as a sacred contract, each chapter scripted with purpose and punctuated by holy intent. Recognizing these sacred contracts remembered, you stand assured that your consecration is both ordained and irreversible. The scrolls of heaven await your acknowledgement as they unfold your appointed destiny. You may have noticed that certain individuals reacted to your presence with inexplicable intensity, as though you carried a mirror that reflected their hidden truths back at them. Their admiration and fear both stemmed from an unconscious recognition of your consecrated status, pressing against their own unresolved shadows. Some were drawn inexplicably toward your counsel, finding solace in the aura of divine calm that emanated from your cloak. Others recoiled, launching subtle attacks in an attempt to shut down a beacon too bright for their comfort. In John's Gospel, the light draws both seekers and scoffers, yet neither can remain indifferent to its glow. You became that living mirror, uncovering unspoken agreements and concealed wounds in the hearts of those around you. This dynamic revealed the power of your consecration to catalyze awakening or provoke resistance in equal measure. Each interaction served as a sacred exchange, reflecting back the divine order you represented. In sensing the mirror of others, you understood that your consecration was not for isolation but for illumination. Your presence carried the weight of prophecy, touching lives whether they danced in gratitude or trembled in fear. As you step beyond personal remembrances, you recognize that your consecration aligns with archetypal patterns woven into the tapestry of cosmic history. You are the seer who deciphers the language of the stars, the rebel who breaks chains forged by ignorance, and the guardian who watches over sacred passages. These roles resonate with the imagery of Deborah judging under her palm tree, Gideon's quiet strength, and Esther's timely advocacy. You sense that your emergence fulfills one of the ancient cycles spoken of by the psalmist, where justice and mercy once again dance in divine balance. This archetypal alignment underscores that your calling is part of a vast prophetic symphony echoing across generations. You stand as both beneficiary and steward of these mythic traditions, charged with advancing their melody into new harmonies for a world in need. Your consecration is thus not an isolated phenomenon, but a chord in the grand composition of divine intention. Embrace this knowledge, for it situates you at the nexus of past and future revelations. In owning your role within this cosmic lineage, you step more fully into the fullness of consecration. You feel a pulsating lineage coursing through your blood, as though each cell carries a code scripted by seraphic scribes to guide your steps. This divine bloodline awakens, stirring memories of angelic assemblies that convened at your naming. You sense the echo of Noah's endurance, Abraham's promise, and Mary's surrender flowing into your genetic memory. These ancestral echoes converge in you, forging a lineage that transcends mere human genealogy. Your DNA hums with prophetic frequencies, calibrated to resonate with the courts of heaven and embolden your earthly presence. This revelation dispels any notion that your power is self-originated. Instead, you are a vessel of a sacred inheritance passed through spiritual ancestors. The generational reversal that unfolds through you restores what was lost to cynicism, fear, and exile. As this bloodline stirs, you stand in the lineage of those who carried divine mandates into hostile lands and prevailed. Radiant and undeniable, this awakening confirms that you were never a stranger to glory. You are simply remembering your home. In this moment, the divine covenant pulses through your veins as an unbreakable bond. You didn't awaken by chance. You returned by design, stepping back into the narrative that began before time's first dawn. Your life up to this point has been a pilgrimage across hidden realms, charting a course toward this sacred crossroads. Every breath you draw now carries the resonance of your true identity, collapsing history into the present moment of remembrance. This is not an invitation but a homecoming, a restoration of the covenant once sealed in the halls of eternity. Comment seal if you feel the weight of this consecration anchoring your soul. As you embrace this final revelation, know that the next unveiling will reveal how spiritual immunity shields you in every realm, seen and unseen. The path extends beyond this remembrance, inviting you deeper into a sovereign authority that transforms every step into an act of divine decree. Step forward, chosen one, and let the unfolding journey continue. Number 5. Spiritual immunity. Your consecration grants you diplomatic status in realms beyond sight, making every hostile ritual against you null and void. Like an embassy protected by international law, your spirit carries a seal recognized by angelic hosts that refuse to honor any edict contrary to divine will. They may have attempted curses or dark rites, but each incantation dissolves against the authority stamped on your soul when heaven acknowledged your covenant. The divine archives record every attempt against you as invalid, reflecting the attacks back to those who launched them and exposing their intent to the cosmic tribunal. In Jeremiah's vision, we see that even the earth itself can testify on behalf of the consecrated when injustice seeks to uproot what heaven has planted. Each time you remain steadfast, you reinforce this clearance, making your immunity more evident to all forces, visible and invisible. Comment immunity if you've ever felt protected by something you couldn't see. As you internalize this security, get ready, for what comes next will reveal how probes meant to expose you only serve to unmask their corruption in full view of divine witnesses. Can you sense the moment when the hidden boundary shifts beneath your feet, inviting you to step through into a realm where rituals against you dissolve? Passivity no longer shields you. It dissolves in the light of your consecration. Now you stand at a sacred crossroads where spiritual immunity transforms uncertainty into sovereign clarity. Before this juncture, you may have recoiled from attacks, wondering if malice held sway over your fate. Yet today you choose to cross the threshold, embracing the reality that every hostile spell cast against you is nullified by a higher decree. This is not mere belief but a tangible shift in cosmic law, as real as the summons of angels to your side. You sense an invisible emblem of authority clasp around your spirit, sealing off every avenue of distortion. They can unleash curses and dark rites, but they now ricochet back into their source, leaving no mark on your soul. Each step you take beyond this line affirms that you are no longer subject to mortal schemes or occult sabotage. Crossing this threshold marks the first act of your empowered mission unfolding in divine jurisdiction. Reflect on the countless moments when you surrendered your voice to fear, allowing doubt to drown out the promise of protection. In those seasons, you gave away your energy to shadows disguised as challengers. Now you call back every ounce of presence you once relinquished to uncertainty. You recognize that your spiritual immunity is not a passive gift but a throne to be reclaimed with unwavering intention. With each declaration of faith, you retrieve authority that was always yours by covenant. No longer will you defer to whispers of sabotage when your consecration stands as ultimate legal sealing. Your soul remembers the training of trials as preparation for this moment of reclamation. Every chapter of doubt now morphs into the foundation of your sovereign stance. This ritual of inner reclamation demands your full devotion, inviting you to reclaim the mantle of divine stewardship. As you call back your scattered power, a fierce clarity anchors you in the armor of spiritual immunity. Feel the ember of insight glowing within, as you name the power that courses through your consecrated spirit. You carry the keys of clarity forged in the fires of unwavering faith. What others labeled sensitivity reveals itself as the map to discern hidden motives. Your memory, sharpened like a prophetic blade, deciphers the scrolls of spiritual conflict. Discernment becomes your shield and sword, guiding every step with divine precision. The spiritual armor you wear is stitched from the promises of ancient decrees. When malicious rites were launched against you, your covenantal code made them impotent. Now you name this gift immunity, a force field woven from angels' vows. It is neither abstract nor distant, but a tool you wield to defend truth and justice. In claiming this power, you transform every whispered attack into proof of your unassailable nature. Imagine the road beneath your feet transforming, each step aligning with the rhythm of divine protection. You no longer wonder where this mission leads because your consecration has already charted the course. Clarity emerges through action as you navigate challenges with the assurance of spiritual immunity. Every open gate before you was unlocked by the authority sealed on your soul. You recognize that complacency has no place on this path, only deliberate steps bathed in conviction. Even when resistance rises, you move forward without hesitation, knowing that every attempt to hinder you fails. The earth itself bends to honor the decree that guards you, echoing Jeremiah's vision of justice rising from the ground. You walk as both pilgrim and sentinel, bridging mortal landscapes with celestial mandates. At each fork, your immune covenant illuminates the correct turn, dispelling illusions of safety in false detours. In this unfolding journey, action becomes the proof of your faith, and each stride confirms your consecrated reality. Look around and see others stirring, awakened by the resonance of your consecration, forming a living tapestry of soul tribes. You are not alone in this sacred mission, but part of a rising order echoing across continents. As your immunity shines, it illuminates the path for kindred spirits seeking refuge in authentic power. Together, you form a cluster of resilience that no dark rite or worldly tyranny can dismantle. This alliance is held by shared devotion to the covenant that binds you in divine defense. When you stand in your immunity, you inspire others to claim their own legal ceiling. In gatherings, you feel the electric charge of collective authority, strengthening each other's fields. The world tries to dim these lights, yet each flicker only fans the flames of revolutionary clarity. You belong to a spiritual lineage that refuses to be silenced, forging unity through shared consecration. As this collective alignment grows, you prepare to command your energy with sanctuary's dignity. Sense the shift as you take command of your energy, positioning yourself not in pride but in sacred stewardship. Your consecration entrusts you with boundaries that honor both mercy and justice. You choose where your life force flows, protecting your field from draining vibrations. Like a high priest donning sacred garments, you commit to rituals of devotion that reinforce your immunity. Decisions become ceremonies as you allocate your time and presence with intentional reverence. All reactive impulses bow to the discipline of your covenantal charge. In this energetic command, you nurture your calling and shield it from compromise. Your energy field becomes a sanctuary, impervious to hostile rituals or malignant intentions. By stewarding your power, you affirm that your consecration is a living reality, not a distant concept. This ceremony of command marks your full embrace of spiritual immunity as a functional practice. Everything you have endured, every attack and trial, has prepared you for this final charge across the boundary of doubt into the realm of unshakable authority. You are ready now to stand as both warrior and advocate for truth within the invisible courts. Declare aloud that no curse or hex can touch the seal stamped upon your spirit by divine decree. In this poetic prophecy, you embody Jeremiah's promise that the earth will testify for the consecrated one. No lingering fear can withstand the radiance of your chosen immunity. Your readiness is not theoretical. It is written into the scrolls of the unseen. Feel the momentum building as you prepare to enact your mission with fearless clarity. Let this charge resonate through your bones like a battle horn summoning legions of celestial allies. You have arrived at the threshold, ready to move through with unwavering conviction. This moment is the breath before you launch into the fullness of your prophetic mandate. Now you stand fully armed in spirit, consecrated by covenant, and immune to every adversary's design. Revelation has shifted into summons, calling you to embody the truth you now carry. This is not a passing message, but a decree echoing through the halls of eternity. You did not simply awaken. You have enacted the sealing that defies every attempt to suppress your light. Comment immunity if you feel the strength of this spiritual fortress within your soul. Share a moment when unseen protection arrived just in time, revealing the reality of your consecration. Your testimony anchors this truth in the lives of others, forging community in authentic spiritual dialogue. As you step beyond this revelation, know that the next section will unveil how every probe meant to expose you only unravels your adversaries. Prepare yourself, for the narrative of your empowerment has only just begun. The gates of the unseen await your command. Cross through and let the world witness your sovereign reign. Number 6. Probes that expose. Every attempt they make to uncover your flaws becomes a mirror that reflects their own hidden shame for all realms to see. When critics dig for dirt, they stumble over their own secrets, unveiling a corruption that only the courts of heaven could reveal in such stark relief. Your trials become testimonies, and each suspicion they harbor is recorded as evidence of their guilt in the heavenly ledger. As Hebrews teaches, every hidden motive eventually faces divine scrutiny, and in that light, false accusers are compelled to stand revealed before unseen judges. Their investigations backfire, for the same probe that seeks to wound you instead carves their image into a record that cannot lie. You are neither surprised nor shaken by these attempts, for your faith in spiritual justice outstrips any human scheme. Comment witness if you have seen an accuser undone by their own words. With each probe, their own defects are laid bare, and now you will grasp how restraint itself serves as the final proof of your rank. Have you ever walked through a vast wasteland of your own spirit, where every silent hour felt like a probe pressing into your marrow, asking questions without answers? In those desert years, the world's scrutiny dug trenches around your heart, exposing your fears and bearing your doubts to the scorching sun of judgment. Every attempt they made to uncover your flaws felt like a caravan of critics marching across your soul, leaving footprints of accusation in the sand. You cried out in prayer, but the silence returned, echoing the probes with an indifferent void that seemed to swallow your faith. In that expanse of abandonment, each heartbeat felt like the thud of a hammer shaping you into something new, though you could not yet see the form. The desert's heat revealed impurities you never knew you carried, burning away illusions until only raw essence remained. Even as tears carved rivulets through the dust of desolation, you sensed that unseen eyes bore witness to your trial beyond the horizon of mortal sight. It was not punishment but preparation, as every probe of your soul became a lesson in endurance and authenticity. They probed seeking to wound you, yet unwittingly they were sharpening the blade of your revelation. In the silence of that wasteland, you discovered that exile held hidden pathways toward the courts of heaven themselves. When guidance felt like a distant star, the weight of silence pressed upon you like an unseen hand tightening its grip around your throat. Critics' questions became phantoms drifting through your empty mind, reminding you of every sting they once intended. You felt ghosted by purpose, overlooked by promise, and spiritually numb, as if the world moved on without acknowledging your existence. In crowded rooms, the probing glare of those who doubted you felt like 1,000 daggers, each one demanding you prove your worth under the unrelenting heat. Sleep offered no respite, for restless thoughts turned every midnight into a vigil of unwanted introspection. Yet within that silence lay a hidden curriculum, forging your capacity for discernment and fortifying the boundaries of your spirit. Every unanswered plea and probing accusation became a crucible, refining you in ways comfort never could. You learned to stand unmoored by approval, anchored instead to an unshakable covenant that no human verdict could revoke. The emotional weight of those desert years was the raw material for a fortress of faith you would soon inhabit. In that stillness, you discovered that silence itself can teach more than 1,000 sermons. At times, it seemed as though the divine had withdrawn into invisible shadows, hiding behind the veil as you wandered through your wilderness. Like Joseph in a foreign prison, you questioned whether your dreams mattered or if your destiny had been consigned to oblivion. In the caverns of your loneliness, you heard echoes of David's lamentations, crying out from hidden caves toward a silent sky. Christ's entombment before resurrection whispered to you that the most sacred transformations happen in places devoid of witnesses. You were not being punished for faults but refined for purpose, and each probe of your soul revealed cracks where grace could seep in. The most profound reworkings took place when no mortal observer recorded your progress, for the unseen hand of spirit moved unhindered by human expectation. You are the chosen one whose spiritual rank has been ordained long before any earthly trial could find you worthy. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. This message may not stay online forever. Download your copy and transcript in the vault, ideal for journaling, inner rituals, and sacred study. The link is in the description below. Please share it with someone who needs to hear this. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the super thanks button to support the mission.